Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. And coming up here on today's show, I am going to rank every single Raiders GM candidate that has a probability, has an opportunity to be, let's start over. I know. Sorry, y'all. I was trying to think of what I wanted to say exactly, and sometimes that's going to happen when we're live. That's on me. Throw the tomatoes. Throw the tomatoes.
When the boot hits.
I mean, seriously, when the boots hit, when the shots hit, when everything starts to hit. Tomato, 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 tomato. All right. I'm ready. Let's reset. I know. Sienna King, y'all are laughing at me. All right, you ready? Coming up right now. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. It's Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports. And coming up on today's show, I am going to rank every single Raiders GM candidate. I'm going to go from 7 down to 1. Now, friendly reminder, I am recording this video on Thursday. And if any other candidates come out, I'll see what I can do here in terms of updating this list. But the bottom line is, the Las Vegas Raiders are looking for a new GM. My job up here is not to make friends with players, not to make friends with staffers. It is to give my honest opinion to the nation of who I believe is the best candidate to be the GM of the Las Vegas Raiders, which I will get into. But as soon as the Silver and Black do decide to name a GM, as soon as they put out, hey, this guy's going to be the general manager of the Las Vegas Raiders, I'm going live. We're going to party. We're going to celebrate it because I do think it's going to be a very, very good hire. I think it is important to note out there for a lot of people, and let's face it, if you're a Raider fan, you've ripped on Mark Davis once or twice. If you haven't, then maybe you haven't followed this team long enough. But this is important because Davis, in a lot of other years, I don't think has done the smart thing. I think he's always tried to find the big whale. He's gone for the big name. This time, he is going to hire the GM, and then he is going to hire a head coach. That is what smart organizations do. So hopefully, Mark goes with the right decision here in terms of GM. Now, before I get into my top 7, I do want to get into the it ain't happening list, because it ain't happening list. We're not bringing in Saban. We're not going to bring over Pete Carroll. Stop with the Bill Belichick nonsense. Louis Riddick is probably the most realistic name on here. It ain't happening. Tom Brady, not going to be the Raiders GM. So let's just get this out of the way, because I know when I make this video, people are going to ask me, should the Raiders bring these people in to be general manager? It ain't happening, so don't ask me. As it stands right now, here is the Raiders GM tracker. Champ Kelly, Trey Brown, Terrance Gray, Ed Dodds, Adam Peters, Tom Telesco, Kelly Klein, Van Callaghan. And as it stands, you got 7 GM candidates. Friendly reminder, this video is filmed on January 11th, and if any other candidates come out, I will say this. I will update the pinned comment. What is the pinned comment? The pinned comment is the very top comment on this YouTube video. So if I record this video and then late Thursday night, early Friday morning, some other candidate comes out, I will update the pinned comment with my brand new ranking for the Raiders GM list. Make sense? Hopefully it does. Speaking of the pinned comment, this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. Who do you think will be the Raiders GM this season? Who do you think it's going to be? Look into your crystal balls. Look into them right now. What is it saying to you? You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down. Believe it or not, it helps me out when you let the ad play. So let me know who you think is going to be the Raiders GM. For me personally, the name that you see at number 1 is not who I think it's going to be, but the person that I want most as the Raiders GM in 2024. All right, let's get into it now. Number 7 on my list. It is Tom Telesco, former GM of the Los Angeles and San Diego Chargers. Telesco was the Chargers GM from 2013 to 2023. He was fired this season, and they tried to clear house. I will admit, Telesco built a lot of very talented rosters with the Chargers, but they always underperform. And the way that I think is the best way to describe what Telesco tried to do in Los Angeles and in San Diego, it was almost like he was running the Madden team, right? Where it was like, all right, let's try to build the best team on paper, where, all right, I can bring in all these big-name guys. I'll try to put all these guys on one team. But it just didn't work out because they were built for different schemes. They were built for different coaches. They weren't built to fit what the Chargers were going to do. Bottom line is this. The NFL is a team sport. And if you're going to keep Antonio Pierce and you're going to keep Patrick Graham, a team that's predicated on being a team. You know what I'm talking about? Like a close, tight group in that locker room. Bringing in Tom Telesco is not the right answer for the Silver and Black. Let's go to number 6 here on my list for Raiders GM candidate rankings. Kelly Klein Van Callaghan. She is an executive for the Denver Broncos. And before all y'all are like, I don't want to bring in any Denver Broncos people, I actually don't agree with that statement. Wouldn't you want to, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer? And Kelly's going to be able to come on in and really be able to give you an inside scoop of a lot of the things that the Broncos have been doing. So the past 3 seasons with Denver as executive director of football operations, special advisor to the GM. She has 12 years of NFL experience, well trusted and respected for her cap management skills and her drafting skills. Like, this isn't just somebody who's a woman in the NFL. No, she has earned her stripes. She has worked her way up. And when you're the right-hand woman to the GM, that speaks volumes. Like, she is very, very well respected. And I'm not a numbers guy, right? I'm not going to sit up here and try to explain how cap numbers work, all this. But when you're the Denver Broncos and you have enough confidence in your team to be able to cut a quarterback that you gave essentially 7 years, $296 million, and you believe that they're going to be able to, move money around, manipulate the salary cap to get you in a good spot, that's confidence in the people that work for you. So let's get it one thing straight. It's Tom Telesco is the one name that I do not want. If the Raiders ended up hiring Kelly Klein Van Callaghan, I'd be okay with it. I think there's other candidates out there that the Raiders could do. But, this is not a bad hire by the Raiders. I got 5 more names coming up here on today's show, but our sponsor is Mando. And if you're a guy out there, the part of being a Raider fan, part of watching this Raider Sports show is about honesty. How many people sweat a lot? I sweat when I eat. I'm sweating right now. I think one of the biggest pet peeves my fiance Alex has with me is I sweat a lot, man. Like, I do. When we do date night, it's always, what do the pits look like, right? Like, if you're like me, I check my phone, I check my wallet, I check my armpits. Like, that's legitimately what I do. So I was super, super excited when we got our brand new sponsor here. So how many times have you heard someone say, new year, new me? Now, how many times have you heard someone say, new year, no stink? That is what Mando is all about. From the makers of Vloom deodorant, Mando is here to make sure 2024 is the year you showcase your best hygiene. If you suffer from stinky feet, which I do, pits, or below the belt, then Mando's doctor-developed and clinically proven odor blocker is worth giving a shot. And new customers can get $5 off the starter pack at shopmando.com with promo code CHAT. You don't want to smell like the smelly guy at work that doesn't believe in deodorant, so ditch that stink and get with Mando today. Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream, tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Luckily, I got a discount code to help you get hooked on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. So use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. And I don't think it's a problem to admit that maybe you sweat a lot. I'm a man. I'm not 40. I'm 30. But I do. I sweat a lot. And I think what's really important here is to be able to show that I found a product that works for me. When I used to go to the store, I used to always buy the over-the-counter, which basically cost the clinical deodorant that cost $13, $14, $15 something dollars. Now, with Mando, with our link here and with our code, you're going to not stink, which I think is an AA plus there. So again, y'all, this link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description. Shout out to Mando for hooking up Raider Nation. Let's go to number 5 here on my list. It is Terrance Gray, the Director of Player Personnel for the Buffalo Bills. I have a high school buddy of mine. He is on the Buffalo Bills staff. He works as a scout, and he told me as soon as the Raiders requested to interview Terrance Gray, he told me, bro, I'm telling you right now, Raider Nation would love Gray, and the players would love him. He's a really good people person, has done a lot of solid things with the Bills, 22 years of NFL experience, and joined Buffalo back in 2017, and has worked his way up. He spent 11 seasons with the Vikings as a college scout, so he has experience in the NFL realm. He also has experience as a college scout. Like I'm telling y'all right now, whoever the next Raiders general manager is, I want somebody that has experience and has knowledge in being able to recognize talent at the college football level, because Mike Mayock and John Gruden, the reason why I laugh out loud, why people want John Gruden back, is because Mike Mayock and John Gruden, they're going to go down in the history books as the worst general manager, head coaching duo in terms of recognizing college talent. Yeah, you were able to find Max Crosby. Congratulations. Max was going to be a dog no matter where he was going to go. But my point is, Terrance Gray's background and the way he connects with players and his staff speaks volumes. Here is where I think Raider Nation's probably going to get mad at me. Coming in here at number 4 for my Raiders GM candidate rankings, it's Champ Kelly, interim general manager of the Las Vegas Raiders. Yes, I am telling y'all right now, there are 3 other GMs that I would rather have over Kelly. And it's not taking anything away from him and what he has done. If the Raiders end up keeping Antonio Pierce and Champ Kelly, I'll be okay with it. I'm okay with it, no problem. But the other reason why, if I'm the Las Vegas Raiders right now, I believe Kelly could potentially get a job elsewhere. You move on from him, and if he ends up getting hired somewhere else, then you're going to get 2 third-round comp picks, okay? And he's been working as an executive in the NFL since 2008, highly regarded in the scouting department, and joined the Raiders in 2022 as the assistant GM. But here's my honest take on this, right? Kelly has had a lot of opportunities, and he's been with a lot of NFL teams. And a lot of the NFL teams that Kelly has been a part of, this is me being honest with you, they have not done a good job in the NFL draft. They haven't. And what I really want the Raiders to be able to do here is hit the mark on QB. Unfortunately, the teams that Kelly has been a part of have oftentimes missed on a quarterback. He's done a good job in a lot of other areas. He absolutely has done a good job in a lot of other areas. But the teams that he's been a part of have swung and missed at the QB position. So right now in this Raiders offseason, you got to be able to find yourself a brand new quarterback. You got to be able to find yourself a franchise QB. It's not that I don't like Champ Kelly. It's just bottom line is this. There are better candidates out there interviewing for the Raiders GM job. Let's go to number 3 here on my list. It is Trey Brown, senior personnel executive. And senior personnel executive Trey Brown is probably one of my favorite candidates on this list. And this is just, again, more of me speaking volumes of the awesome candidates that the Raiders have interviewing right now for GM. He's in his 3rd season with the Bengals and his 2nd season as senior personnel executive. He interviewed for the Raiders GM job back in 2019 and 2022. At age 38, he would be the 3rd youngest GM in the National Football League. But the other reason why I want to bring in Trey Brown is because, you're bringing in this new GM. You're trying to build something special here for the Raiders, right? You're trying to get that Lombardi trophy. You're trying to build a great team. Every team's trying to build a dynasty. And I'm not trying to sit up here and compare XFL to the NFL. What I am going to compare, though, is imagine how difficult it is for you to build a team around players that there's not as much tape on, there's not as much notes on, there's not as much information out there, and that's what the XFL is. And he was in a GM-like role with the Birmingham Iron back in 2019. He was in a GM-like role with the St. Louis Battlehawks in 2020. Well, guess what? Before both of those seasons ended because they flopped in terms of not being able to get enough money together, Birmingham Iron were in 1st place. St. Louis Battlehawks in 1st place. He is one of the youngest, most highly regarded people in the NFL in terms of being able to look at a player, see if they're going to be good or not. He is a great talent evaluator at the college level. For that reason, I would rather have Trey Brown as GM of the Las Vegas Raiders over Champ Kelly. Let's go to number 2 here on my list. It's Ed Dodds. And a few years ago, Dodds was number 1 on my list. I wanted Dodds back on the, no, I shouldn't say back. I wanted kind of back on the Raiders. Dodds started with Jim Harbaugh back in 2003. And if anybody out there that's watching this video right now wants Jim Harbaugh to be the Las Vegas Raiders head coach, you want them to hire Ed Dodds first, because I'm telling y'all right now, if Dodds is hired to be the GM of the Silver and Black, get ready. Harbaugh's coming on down. Dodds interviewed with the Raiders back in 2022 and, was considered by many. I mean, I can still remember the report that Vic Tafur put out, that Vincent Bonsignore put out, that Tashawn Reed put out, that all the Raiders beat reporters put out that Ed Dodds is going to get the job. And then guess what? He didn't get the job. It was very well reported. I mean, it was spread out there far and wide. I had sources tell me that Dodds is going to get the job too. And then Mark Davis started getting his word in a different ear and decided to go Dave Ziegler, Josh McDaniels direction. My point is this. Ed Dodds was like, imagine in a duck race, Raiders report style here. Your duck is leading the race, and at the final second, somebody just comes in at the very, very end, and they take the lead and they get it from you. That's how close Dodds was to being the GM. And the fact that he was that close before, and the fact that he has the connections that he does with Harbaugh, on top of all that, he is a brilliant mind at GM. He has been Chris Ballard's right-hand man since 2017, and you can say what you want about Indianapolis. Indy's done a phenomenal job at talent evaluation. I mean, look at the Colts this season. You look at the Colts roster this year, I get it. They didn't make the playoffs. But on paper, without the quarterback that they drafted at number 4 overall, on paper, the Colts might have a bottom 6 roster. And they were a 9-8 football team to me. Over 20 years of NFL experience, Ed Dodds would be a slam dunk move at GM. However, on the video that I put out earlier in the week, the video that I put out on my perfect offseason, the guy that I want the most to be the Raiders GM is Adam Peters, assistant GM of the San Francisco 49ers. Not only is he a great talent evaluator, not only does he have experience in the college and the NFL game, not only has he worked with great NFL organizations, he is a stand-up dude. The Washington Commanders, they interviewed Peters on Thursday, and one of the biggest notes away from that was he was an outstanding human being. You listen to a lot of 49ers players when they talk about Adam Peters, outstanding human being, and I think he'd be a great pair with Antonio Pierce. 21 years of NFL experience, has been the 49ers assistant GM for 3 seasons, and he is a very highly regarded skill evaluator that's been on successful teams. The Patriots, when they won a bunch of Super Bowls. The Denver Broncos. This is the guy who was a part of a regime that cleaned up the mess that Josh McDaniels left behind. And then, I get it, they had Peyton Manning, but they won a Super Bowl. Then in San Francisco, like what the 49ers have been able to do with, let's be real here, good to mediocre quarterback play. Brock Purdy's done a hell of a job. Let's not get it twisted. But what the Niners have been able to do in terms of building a team when essentially you threw away 3 first-round picks for Trey Lance is pretty remarkable. And if I'm the new GM, if I'm Mark Davis, I'm trying to bring in somebody like Adam Peters, who's cleaned up McDaniels' mess before, that has been able to handle bad first-round picks in years past. Adam Peters is the best candidate interviewing for the Las Vegas Raiders job, and if he's the GM, I hope y'all are ready to party. So here is my Raiders GM candidate rankings on this show. At number 7, it's Tom Telesco. Coming in here at number 6, Kelly Klein Van Callaghan. Number 5, Terrance Gray from the Bills. Number 4, the current interim GM, Champ Kelly. He's number 4 on my list. Trey Brown, Ed Dodds, Adam Peters. As it stands right now, the Las Vegas Raiders have 7 GM candidates that they have either asked to interview, will interview, or are going to interview in 2024. Bottom line, 6 out of those 7, I'd be happy about. The only name that I'd be a little bit upset about is Tom Telesco. All the other ones, I feel like we're moving in a good direction. Realistically, though, I want from Champ Kelly all the way down for the Las Vegas Raiders. For more news and updates here around the Silver and Black, make sure you guys follow me on social media at Mitchell Renz 365.